When the Ebola virus blew up around the globe, we found ourselves wondering how here in the 21st century, we as a global health system could have been caught so flat-footed. Don't we have safeguards for such things? Don't we have the ability to catch outbreaks and bring them under control faster? Shouldn't we be better at this? We tried to answer those questions at the time, hoping we as a planet would not be caught so off guard again. But here we are, not that long after the Ebola scare, with the mosquito-borne Zika virus spreading as if gasoline was being poured on the globe. First case found in Niagara County, upstate New York. A pregnant woman in Houston diagnosed with the virus. And Major League Baseball players considering their options, faced with a trip to play games in Puerto Rico, and maybe opting to stay home. What went wrong? Again. Welcome back, Newsmax Deputy Health Editor Nick Tate. Nick, always a pleasure to see you.
Good to be here.
The link between Zika and the microcephaly in babies confirmed last week by scientists at the CDC. We now have billions of people that are suddenly susceptible to Zika. What happened?
Well, you know, I think the more we learn about Zika, the scarier it becomes, and this is what the CDC now says. As usual, we're playing catch-up with something we could have maybe nipped in the bud early on by controlling mosquitoes, controlling the spread, controlling the travel of people to places like Puerto Rico, where the baseball game is going to be played next month, so that we do not experience those risks. The other thing that's most troubling about this is that it's not just mosquitoes now that spread the virus, but they believe it can be spread through sex, which raises a whole other issue in terms of susceptibility. And I'm still not convinced that we're being as aggressive as we should be about it.
Why, though? I mean, that's a great point. We need to be aggressive on all of these, and you would think Ebola would have taught us something. I remember the stories about Zika when it hit, and it was, oh, don't worry about it, no big deal, it's only going to be in Rio, there's not, and then boom, all of a sudden it went global.
Well, my opinion on this is that there is a kind of vested public interest in keeping concerns down. We've got it under control, don't worry, go back to your lives, don't panic, and you know, we're not advising, I would never recommend that people completely freak out and never leave your home, et cetera, but the level of alertness and awareness should be high. Our action should be greater now, because if we don't address it now, like Ebola, we're going to throw hundreds of millions or billions of dollars at this down the road. And my fear is that the summer of 2016 is going to be the summer of Zika, just as we saw the summer and the fall of Ebola not long ago.
Does this not speak to us then that CDC, WHO, whatever it is you want to call it, because we are such a small planet, so global, people can go from place to place so quickly, that we need an international effort that has got to be able to see everything, grab it together, pull the information, get something done without having to go through the disaster of governments?
The instinct should be, what can we do, what should we do, and how can we do it as aggressively as possible, and not worry so much about, well, will people be afraid if they see us doing all these things? They might be overly concerned. I think in this case, err on the side of caution, not on the side of don't worry and complacency.
All right, let's move on. We got a couple of things here to cover. Short time, suicide in the United States.
Right.
This stopped me, and I had to read this a couple of times. Surged to the highest levels in nearly 30 years. They're talking about women. The rate is incredible with women between like 45 and 65. It's all about jobs, personal finances. What else do we know about this?
Well, the surprising thing is that the number is up, as high as it is, and even people who work in this field are really surprised. The second surprise is that it's white Americans in that middle age group, and women. Three factors that have been pointed to. Now, the research itself did not say this is the reason why, but the economic downturn since about 2005 has had a significant impact on raising people's stress levels, keeping jobs, working jobs, getting food on the table. That exacerbates, point number two, mental health concerns and problems, anxiety, depression. And the third thing, we've also seen an explosion in the use of painkillers and opioids. In some cases, uses of things like Xanax to self-medicate and deal with some of these larger problems, which are really exacerbated by stress. So I think what we have is a kind of simmering mental health crisis that isn't being addressed, and this is pointing it up.
Let's talk 60 seconds left about anxiety and stress. The president, CEO of America's Health Insurance Plans, said if you think Obamacare went up last year exponentially, you better wait till 2017 because this is going to be a disaster.
That's right. What's interesting is this is Marilyn Taverna. She was the one who ran the rollout of healthcare.gov and now works for the trade group that is managing the healthcare systems, the America's Health Insurance Plans. The projection is that we're looking at double double-digit increases again next year. And the reason is because healthcare costs are going up. There's nothing about Obamacare that attempts to address those or lower them. The costs for complying with the many rules and regulations of Obamacare are costing businesses, consumers, and the industry and healthcare itself a lot more money. And there's nothing in Obamacare that stops the insurers from passing on those rates to our individual consumers. So my prediction is going to be looking at 10, 11% average increases next year, which is 3 or 4 times the rate of wage growth, and just can't be sustained.
What we told things were going to be so much better, Nick? Did we miss something in all this?
Prices were going to go down, I believe.
Prices were going to go down, don't worry about it.
The deficit was going to be eliminated, and your health care was going to get better. Well, those things are proven
You're going to be able to afford it, exactly. Don't forget, Nick is co-author of the ObamaCare Survival Guide and Da Vinci's Baby Boomer Survival Guide. Both books that you need as you move forward, learn more about Obamacare and everything else. Good to see you, my friend.
You too.
Stop by a little more often.
All
Let's
righty.
do some good news from time to time, all right? All right, coming up next, the hammer has finally fallen on Bernie Sanders from his own people, but his movement won't go away, and that is what really bothers the Democrats. We'll talk about that and so much more when we continue right here. Question everything. This is The Hard Line.